right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
History made just moments ago.
I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
The first woman of color officially accepts a major party's presidential nomination. We're live from the DNC in Chicago.
Weekend warm. As temperatures climb, there may be some isolated rain. We're tracking where that weekend rain would have more of an impact.
Our top story, an early morning shootout with police rattles a Metro East neighborhood.
I'm hit. My dog is hit as well.
Tonight, a suspect is dead, an officer injured, and an apartment in mourning over the loss of a beloved police canine. Tonight, the injured Alton police officer shot in that shootout is recovering at home. Good evening. I'm Kelly Jackson.
And I'm Mike Bush. The officer's canine partner, Odin, and the shooting suspect were both killed. 5 on Your Side's Robert Townsend has the latest.
Long before sunrise,
just surreal that that's your alarm clock.
Startled neighbors in this Alton area first heard the gunfire.
Got 3 kids in the house. What any parent would do when they hear multiple gunshots, you run and find your kids and you make sure that they're safe.
They then saw lots of police officers and sheriff's deputies rush to East 6th and Liberty. Police say a man got into a shootout with officers.
I'm hit.
Alton police officer, 27-year-old Alan Averback, suffered a gunshot wound.
My dog is hit as well. My dog is down.
His beloved canine partner was also shot. Odin died from his injuries.
The loss of Odin is not just a loss of a service animal, but of a loyal companion and a trusted team member.
That's a shame. No, we're animal lovers.
Officer Averback and Odin had only worked together for a few months.
They are just as brave as the officers who are, on the street.
Investigators have not said what prompted the suspect to exchange gunfire with officers. So at this point, investigators have still remained extremely tight-lipped about the shooting that happened in this neighborhood, and they haven't told us much about the man they call a suspect.
There are no suspects, other suspects being sought.
Hours after losing their beloved canine, dozens of police canine units from across the state honored Odin during this procession through the city.
We mourn the loss of a dedicated member of our police force.
In Alton, Robert Townsend, 5 on Your Side.
Mayor Goins says a woman was shot in that same area last night, but he would not confirm if that shooting was connected to the one that involved the officers.
Charges have been filed in a deadly overnight shooting in Imperial. Prosecutors have charged 20-year-old Chapter Wagner of Arnold with first-degree murder. He is accused of shooting and killing Timothy Geitst of St. Louis. The victim was found shot to death in the driver's seat of a car parked on Lombard Lane near Golden Gate Drive. That is in a subdivision off Seckman Road. Investigators believe the shooting was isolated and targeted. Wagner is being held without bond. And tonight we know the identity of the teen killed in a shooting in Lee May. 16-year-old Amarian Fuller was shot on Getz Avenue on Tuesday. Police don't believe the shooting was self-inflicted and are investigating his death as suspicious.
Tonight, an inmate who almost avoided execution may be facing death row again. Yesterday, a judge approved a deal for Marcellus Williams to serve life in prison instead of being executed next month for the 1998 murder of Leisha Gale. However, the Missouri Attorney General and the Supreme Court blocked the order, saying the circuit court lacked authority to override the sentence. Those close to him say Williams is still in good spirits.
Honestly, he called to check on me. He was like, "Oh, you doing okay?" I'm like, "Where you at? You okay?" Like, "I'm good. Are you?" And that's the person he is. He's very caring about other people. He was just making some calls to make sure that his friends and family are okay.
A hearing for Williams is set for next Wednesday. Well, it's a cool August night in St. Louis. Temperatures dropping into the 50s. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell says a big weekend warm-up is on tap.
A big weekend warm-up definitely on the way. You could see that just past full moon rising in the sky tonight. It's still pretty bright under a mostly clear sky. Of course, Busch Stadium all settled this evening after that fine win this afternoon over at the ballpark. Frankie will talk more about that. Or maybe it's Corey in just a little bit. Well, here's what we're looking at across the region. We have some clouds that rolled through. They've now slid onto the south and east of St. Louis, so mostly clear conditions for the rest of the night. We're in the upper 60s already in town. Outlying areas already dropping in some cases close to that 60-degree mark. We have 60 in Eureka. Arnold's down to 59. So is Millstadt and Alton. It is another very comfortable night ahead of a warmer weekend. Overnight temperatures dropping into the 50s, around 60 in St. Louis. Not quite as cool as it was for tomorrow morning, this morning. This morning, a lot of us were in the 40s. 61 out the door tomorrow morning. Then we're back into the mid-60s by 8 o'clock. We'll look at mid to upper 80s for highs tomorrow afternoon, and even warmer for Saturday and Sunday.
New tonight, renewed hope in Kirkwood for youth ball fields set to be demolished. Neighbors are joining forces to do what they can do to prevent it. The city says it can no longer afford to keep it going. Brent Solomon takes us to a community meeting tonight where the public is determined to act.
Across from the vibrant Green Tree Park along the Merrimack River sits the less attractive former home of the Kirkwood Athletic Association. The 14 acres of land have sat vacant since several floods left it in disrepair. The city of Kirkwood says it doesn't have enough money to reopen it.
The number of kids that it had served over those years, you can't count. Served my kids, served me. It's been a big part of the community.
It's why school board member Ben Caffey is leading a grassroots effort to unite neighbors who want to save the ball fields. This is their first public meeting, more than what they expected.
Virtually everybody who's in the room tonight, and many hundreds, perhaps thousands more, played baseball down at Marshall Fields. They coached down there, and some of us did both. We played and coached.
Rick Stream is with the American Legion. The group hosted the meeting for anyone interested in their fight. Demolition was set to happen in July, but City Council agreed to delay that when neighbors started uniting. A few council members showed up Thursday. Time is of the essence, according to one council member, Al Rainnecker, telling the group tonight, "We can't have this meeting 3 years from now and nothing's happened." Now the group is working to determine the best use of the site. Should it remain baseball and softball fields, or should other sports like lacrosse, soccer, or pickleball come in? Depending on what they decide, the price tag could be tens of thousands or even six figures.
We got to get the fields back into shape. We probably can't do anything for this year or even this fall, but for next spring we'd like to be able to open the fields for competitive play.
Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
City leaders say trees and 5 buildings need to be torn down, including the concession stand, which is already falling. Fuel tanks on the property have already been removed. To contact the organizer of the plan to revive the ball fields, visit this story in the As Seen on TV section of KSDK.com.
Arnold residents are now trying to remove city council members who support a new parkway project. The 2-mile project would connect Richardson Road to 141, but it would displace more than 30 families and force some businesses to move. Residents are collecting signatures in hopes to recall those members, as well as the mayor and city treasurer. One legal expert says it's a strategy that's proven to work.
Focus on making the case to their fellow citizens that this is just a project that should not go forward. In other words, they can focus on public relations and trying to persuade their neighbors, don't do this, and if the city insists on it, let's vote the bums out. That has been a very effective tactic.
Residents can voice their concerns to the City Council at their next meeting on September the 5th. A group of Missourians are upping the ante to keep sports betting off the November ballot. A new lawsuit claims the method used to get the amendment on the ballot was unconstitutional. The plaintiffs say the Secretary of State's office used the old state district lines to collect signatures, arguing they wouldn't have enough if they used the current districts. The Secretary of State's office has not commented on the lawsuit.
And Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft is rejecting an executive order to protect Missouri children from unregulated hemp products. Earlier this month, Governor Mike Parson ordered stores to remove products that contain hemp, but not cannabis, saying the packaging is often marketed towards children. Ashcroft's office says the order needs to go through the standard rules procedure and not be implemented too quickly. The order was supposed to take effect September 1st. Now it may take 6 months.
In the greatest nation on earth, I accept your nomination to be President of the United
16 years after Barack Obama and 8 years after Hillary Clinton, history is once again made at the Democratic National Convention. Tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris became the first woman of color to formally accept a major party's nomination for president.
And the celebration is just wrapping up in Chicago. Harris's quick ascent to the top of the ticket has re-energized the Democratic Party. 5 on Your Side political editor Mark Waxwell joins us now live from the United Center, where the vice president just laid out her message to the American voters. Mark.
Mike and Kelly, good evening from Chicago. Tonight we saw Kamala Harris, the prosecutor, Kamala Harris, the politician, and Kamala Harris, the potential president, cross-stitching a coalition of voters across the country, a path she thinks can lead her to the White House as president, the first female president in our nation's history. She jumped right into general election mode. That was evident by the names and faces we saw sharing the stage with her. Police, veterans, victims of mass shootings, victims of human trafficking. Even Republicans joined her on stage tonight, flexing her appeal across party lines. And her rhetoric offered voters watching from home, maybe voters who were down on the deja vu of Joe Biden and Donald Trump in a rematch, she offered them a new way forward.
Our nation with this election has a precious, fleeting opportunity to move past the bitterness, cynicism, and divisive battles of the past, a chance to chart a new way forward. Not as members of any one party or faction, but as Americans.
Then she reprised her role as a prosecutor and laid out the case against Donald Trump, also wrapped abortion access in the packaging of personal freedom and choice, and tied the consequences of many of the strict abortion bans we've seen strictly and firmly around the neck of Donald Trump.
Stories of women miscarrying in a parking lot, developing sepsis, losing the ability to ever again have children, all because doctors are afraid they may go to jail for caring for their patients.
We also heard some big picture policy aims, like Harris pledging to pass the border bill that Trump and Republicans killed, the one that was a bipartisan border security bill there. Also, she called to bring an end to the violence in Israel and Gaza and bring all the hostages home. That's rhetoric we've already heard. Now it's on to the campaign trail and the first debate, where Kamala Harris will ask Americans to make her the first woman president in American history.
And Mark, we've heard the term convention bump. You've been covering politics a long time. How long does a convention bump usually last, and will this year be any different because of the unique circumstances?
Well, Kamala Harris had that initial bump right before she came in here, just the excitement and energy. We saw some evidence of that because she had more donors in the first 10 days of her campaign than Joe Biden had in the entire 15 months of his entire campaign. So she had that pre-convention bump. Tonight, Democrats are about to go home and continue the campaign, and it seems like she's picking up steam. Perhaps we'll see that in the polling in the days and weeks to come. But for now, we've got, 75 days to go until the election? A lot of time left for these two candidates to square off and make their cases to the American public. In Chicago, Mark Maxwell, 5 on Your Side.
And Mark will have a full wrap-up of the DNC on this week's edition of The Record. It airs Sunday night at 11, right after Sports Plus.
A couple's hopes turned to heartache in an instant.
That could have been my chance to have a child.
They spent thousands of dollars at a St. Louis fertility clinic, only to be told their embryo was lost.
They made a mistake. They screwed up.
Tonight, the I-Team uncovers they may not be alone.
Finally feeling more like summertime this weekend. We're tracking the pattern change, bringing the heat and maybe some rain or storms to the bi-state region. We'll track that in 7 minutes.
Tonight, the I-Team brings you a story of a couple's struggle to become parents made worse by something they never expected.
5 on Your Side's Paula Vasson digs into their experience at a St. Louis fertility clinic and why they're now left with more unanswered questions.
I thought it was going to work.
For Mary and Jimmy Gorman, having a child isn't just a dream.
It means a lot. It means everything to me.
It's a desperate hope.
I'll do anything it takes to have a family.
After years of trying to start a family, they traveled from Memphis to the renowned Infertility Center of St. Louis, led by Dr. Sherman Silber. The couple entrusted the practice with their hopes for in vitro fertilization, or IVF.
I heard really good things about this doctor.
But after 9 months of daily injections, invasive procedures, and about $70,000, their hopes were shattered.
I don't want this to ever happen to anybody again. This is horrible.
Just moments before Mary's long-awaited embryo transfer, dressed in her hospital gown, she says her doctor told her the procedure could not happen.
Because they lost it. They don't know where it was at.
Her embryo missing.
I don't understand how it happened or why it happened, but you know, they can't answer me, so they don't give me an answer. So,
what's your biggest fear right now?
If I get a knock on the door in 10 years at my house saying, "Hey, Dad," and I've never met my child before.
Fearing her embryo was put into someone else.
They made a mistake. They screwed up.
Their attorney is Josh Tolan. He says he plans to sue the fertility clinic and St. Luke's Hospital, where the clinic stored embryos.
It's a finger-pointing process. I don't know that we'll ever get the truth.
The Gormans fear their missing embryo could be connected to the recent decision by St. Luke's Hospital to move its embryo storage facility to Texas. Mary and another former patient tell the I-Team they had no warning. The hospital system says it has always maintained stringent policies and practices related to the collection, preservation, and storage of reproductive specimens. The Infertility Center of St. Louis and Dr. Silber did not respond to our multiple attempts to get in touch over the past month.
Just a total letdown.
Now this couple is left in limbo, demanding accountability, demanding answers.
That could have been my chance to have a child.
And above all, wanting a family. The I-Team discovered there is no data on how often providers misplace embryos. The American Society for Reproductive Medicine tells us fertility clinics must have strict protocols to prevent these types of medical errors, and clinics are ethically obligated to disclose them. For the I-Team, Paula Vasan, 5 on your side.
If you have a tip for Paula, leave a voice message. The number's 314-444-5231. You can also send her an email, paula@ksdk.com. All calls and correspondence will be kept confidential.
Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joins us once again with the weather impact forecast, and the heat will be on once again this weekend, Scott.
The heat's coming back, the humidity's creeping back. I mean, it hasn't really felt like August the last few days.
No, it hasn't.
Yes, we're going to change that going into the weekend, and we do that right after our full moon. We are in the waxing gibbous stage now, but it is still pretty bright, even with some high thin clouds out there. Pretty shot looking back from City Park towards St. Louis. Some of the outlying areas, can you believe it's already down to 56 degrees in Mount Vernon? Effingham's 57. We have 59 in the valley, 58 out in Warrenton. Salem, Missouri's 57 degrees. A lot of spots will be in the low 50s tomorrow morning. We should be in the mid 50s around the metro area. 68 right now. Winds are very light and just the high clouds. Dew point, you know, that's been low. It's been really comfortable. 57 was the low this morning. That's 2 degrees off the record low for the state, which was set back in 1950 and then back in the 1800s. So you're looking at temperatures tomorrow. Warmer, yes, but we add in the heat index, and there's not a big difference there tomorrow. Mid to upper 80s, still overall a comfortable day, just warmer than it has been. We're watching these high clouds slide on out of here tonight. Also watching the area of showers and thunderstorms come out of Colorado into South Dakota, into Nebraska, into Kansas again tonight. Same areas once again. This upper level high, it's in the upper levels. It's a big ridge. That big bubble is going to slide towards us this weekend. In doing so, it should create some clouds, and maybe it kicks off a few showers or thunderstorms. Maybe. Odds are it stays well to our west or to our north, but there is a low chance overnight, Friday night into Saturday morning, and then again as we go into Saturday night and Sunday morning. We think going into Sunday, most of it's to the north of us. That should leave us with a mainly dry weekend, a little bit of extra cloud cover, a little more humidity. Yes, a little warmer. 92 for the high on Saturday, 94 on Sunday. The only thing that would keep us cooler on Sunday would be if those showers and thunderstorms are a little more extensive to our north and we end up seeing extra cloud cover sliding our way. Monday and Tuesday should be the hottest days, mid to upper 90s. The humidity levels will be such that the heat index will probably be around 100, maybe 102, 103. And then we'll start to get some drier air in here as we head towards Wednesday and Thursday. Slim chances for any rain there. So overall, there's not a big signal for much in the way of rain as we work our way through this upcoming weekend. If you have a float trip planned, and there are a few big ones this weekend, we don't anticipate any big problems. It's going to be nice and warm. You'll need your sunscreen, maybe the bug spray too.
All right, Scott, thanks.
Corey Miller is here with sports.
Well, the Cardinals are on the cusp of a winning streak as they attempt to save their season. College football is officially a week away, and City SC's man in charge talks about the juiciest rumor of the transfer window. Stick around, sports is up next.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Telly Tire and Auto Centers, driving your way since 1942.
The next 35 games could tell us an awful lot about the future of the St. Louis Cardinals. Do they have a miracle run left in them, or will another year without the playoffs lead to seismic changes in the organization? For now, the team would take a series win over their NL Central leading rivals. Miles Michaelis was the star today against the Brewers. 6 innings, no runs, just 2 hits allowed, and the bullpen would follow his lead. On offense, Victor Scott II had perhaps the best day of his young career. 3 hits, including a double right there, as well as a stolen base later in the game. The Cardinals would get on the scoreboard in the 7th inning thanks in part to some clutch hits from Brendan Donovan and last night's hero, Nolan Arenado, and then Ryan Helsley would come in to finish things off. Cardinals win 3-0 to take the series against the division-leading Brewers. Right now, the Cards are 5 games out of the wild card, but feel like they have momentum heading to Minnesota.
It is good to follow it up with another win, and there's a good vibe and energy in that clubhouse right now as far as how they're just attacking every day. I said it yesterday, all you can do is stay present and 1 pitch at a time, and I feel like our guys are competing extremely well every pitch. They're not giving a whole lot away. Our pitchers did a nice job. We had a good approach. We faced a solid arm in Peralta, and I liked our approach.
Huge soccer game at Herman Stadium tonight. Number 4 BYU against number 23 SLU women's soccer. Packed house for this one. They loved this. Billiken goalkeeper Emily Percelli diving stop on BYU to keep things scoreless. Then SLU would break through. Emily Gaby refuses to give up, charges to the net, and finishes 1-0 Bills. BYU would get the equalizer in the second half, though, and that's how this one would end. SLU ties BYU 1-1 at home. A week from now, we will have actual college football games to discuss. Mizzou and Illinois kick off their campaigns next Thursday night against teams that shouldn't provide much drama, but in a college football season that should have plenty of drama. The Tigers begin their anticipated season next Thursday night against lowly Murray State at home in Columbia. You may have seen Coach Eli Drinkwitz's comments earlier this week about the need for the fan base to sell out that first game. He has made it clear it's not just about his team going all in for this year. He needs the fans all in as well.
Let's establish ourselves. Let's eliminate all the noise about what the past history of the fan base has been, and let's establish what our identity moving forward is going to be. And the establishment of the identity moving forward is, it doesn't matter if it's a Thursday night, a Monday night, or Saturday night. If we're playing at Faroe Field, we're selling it out.
The Fighting Illini will also open up their season a week from today. Eastern Illinois comes to Champaign, and they'll be seeing a young Illini squad under Coach Brett Bielema. The leadership group is also young, but they're experienced, whether playing under Bielema or transfers coming in.
I do like players that I've had a lot of experience with, right? Josh McCray ran for X number of over 700 yards his freshman year and then had 2 kind of season ending. But even though he hasn't had a lot of playing experience, he's been on our program a long time. So it's more about time with you, but if not with you, have they had it somewhere else and how well do they adjusted to you?
This 5 on Your Side St. Louis City SC coverage is sponsored by Together Credit Union.
City SC plays Saturday in Portland. The transfer window is now behind them. The club added some major talent, but the most intriguing rumor was the team's connection to national team forward and St. Louis native Josh Sargent. He didn't end up with City SC this year, but in the words of the sporting director himself, you never know about the future.
Of course, I mean, we are honored that there is rumors out there and people talking about Josh and us, and I believe it's a very natural thing, simply where he comes from. Let's see what the future brings.
City SC and the Cardinals, of course, both fighting for playoff spots. Yeah. They're going to need a lot of wins in a short amount of time.
Yes, they are. Corey, thanks. We'll be right back.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michelle Lee. We've got a wake-up call for parents and policymakers about what we feed our littlest kids. A brand new report shows 0% of baby and infant food in America meet standards set by the World Health Organization. So what does that really mean for those baby food pouches? We're going to talk about it on Today in St. Louis at 6 a.m.
What's dubbed as the largest multicultural event in the region returns to Tower Grove Park this weekend. Tonight, a launch party was held for this year's Festival of Nations. It will feature performances, food, and vendors representing more than 80 countries, and the free festival runs Saturday and Sunday.
And one final word about the weather with Scott.
Yeah, you know, Frank took the night off. He's heard so much about the dew point this week. He just couldn't take any more. It's been low. It's going up this weekend. It won't be overly uncomfortable, but yes, we're going to get warm, somewhat humid temperatures going back above 97.
There you have it. 5 on your side at 10, a late edition. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Be sure to start your day with Today in St. Louis, beginning at 4 a.m. Have a great tomorrow.